Welcome back to another Draftstars video, guys. Round 14's here. I hope you enjoyed Origin last night, and I hope your Draftstars squad went pretty well. I did cover everyone that went well. It was just, which combination you selected. I thought Hammer would do pretty well. That was the play. If you went against Cleary and went for, a mixture of Munster or one of the slightly cheaper guys, and that worked out well. Also, Cotter obviously played the full 80 there in the end. So that worked out okay if you got that right mixture of those cheapy guys and missed out on Cleary because he went okay, but nothing special for sure. So let's move to the Raiders and the Tigers for our first game. It's Friday night, guys, so you got another day for this until you have to select your squad. But in the outside backs, I think there's a mixture of four guys that you could select, and I think it sits there with skipping Tomoko. There's a great chance that he does come back and have a big game, but a couple in a row now really low. I think he's a risk that it was a little bit of a month or so of just being an absolute superstar, and now he's come back to the pack a little bit. I think he'll do better than the last few weeks, but how much better is the question. Stafford Toa coming off an absolute belter, 113, incredible, probably the highest I've seen for the season so far. So Toa, I think be pretty tough not to select him in your side at 13k with that type of upside, because if you don't have him, well, if you do have him, you're a good chance of winning the comp. If you don't, then you're pretty cooked. So there's him there. There's David Nofaluma at under 13k. Albert Hopewade scored 3 tries last week. He's been great. Look at him as well. And Buller. They're your 4 guys. Oh, along with Junior Tupou there. All 5 of those guys could do a great job, and they're all not very expensive. So that's going to allow you to spend up in the forwards, I think, which is going to be a good play there. Potentially, I would be selecting one of those guys in the flex as well. Halves hookers, there's only really one option, I believe, and that's Luke Brooks. So Appy played big minutes last night, so I doubt that he comes back and is one of those guys. It's Brooksy or it's Wakeham. If you got the extra cash, go Brooksy. If you don't, go Wakeham, because he's been really solid. 37.5 is lowest in the last 4. Lock one of those 2 guys into your side. I'd imagine it's a fairly close game as well, so we'll see how that goes. There. In the forwards, obviously Horsburgh had a belter last week on the edge, but I think Tarpany's your man. So he played massive minutes through the middle last week and got a 77.7 without any attacking stats. So Tarpany, I think, is the must-have of the week. And then you've got a mixture of, the Batemans, Clemmers, which could all do good. And they're obviously a little bit less expensive than Papali, if you want to go that way. And then lower from there, you've got Emre Gula would be the last guy that I would look at. Something very funny to note, though, guys, is that I picked, Papali. He randomly gets slotted up there at 9k. And last week was one of those weeks. I think it's happened 1 or 2 other times. And I was like, he's hitting like 38 average, and they've got him at 9k. It was very weird. And then last week, he got a 72.6 at 9,000, which was ridiculous. So I hope he jumped on that. And now he's up to 15,400. So pretty hilarious that. In that one, let's go to the Dolphins up against the Warriors, and a few selections here. I'd be avoiding Aiken, so Asako, the more expensive guy. If you have that extra cash, then he's been really dominant, averaging 53, so he should average and hit the best out of all these guys, very likely. Chan's had his best ever game of fantasy, so 65 for him, worked out great. So he's definitely someone that you could look at, but obviously Wateni Zalesniak, a little bit cheaper, hasn't been scoring as well, but he looked great last week, and I think that he can take that form, just the way he ran the ball, into this one as well, and hopefully he catches a couple of the Sean Johnson kicks anyway. But a lot of guys are going to be scoring fairly solidly. Pompey, Montoya, Berry all had good games last week, so any of those guys at the cheaper price are going to be fine. But I think a mixture of Sako, Nickel Klukstar, Nikarima was solid as well, 23 only unfortunately, but mixture of those few guys there would be the play. And then in the halves hookers, it's Johnson, really. There's a little bit of talk that Marshall King is carrying, he is actually carrying a bit of an AC joint injury, so didn't stop him last week, but I think that you can avoid him. So Johnson, if you have the money, and then it is Milford at 12.6. He's the guy you want to select, being able to get plenty of kick meters. He scored a try last week as well, so 59. I'd expect somewhere around that 40 mark, which would be plenty. And then Luke Metcalf at 9,900. Not his greatest score last week, but I think he'll be better for the run and come out and do a good job. In the forwards, Adam Finnell-Blake has been the most dominant player, pretty close to in the game at the moment. As a forward especially, he's been, look at those scores, 63 is his lowest in his last 6. So incredible for 21k. Get him in your side if you can. Mitch Barnett returns. I'm not sure how that's going to affect their forward rotation, but it's definitely something to note, guys. In your black book there. Ray Stone got good minutes of 13 last week, and he will do the same. Tom Gilbert was going to get rested anyway before he got his dislocated shoulder. Stone got 40 last week. get him in your side. You'll be able to score somewhere similar to that. He did have a bunch of missed tackles, but I think it'd be fine to score somewhere around that 40 mark there. And there's not really many other guys I would be looking at, to be honest, in this one. Connolly Lemuelu, if you have the extra cash, you can slot him into your side for sure. Let's go Titans and the Bunnies. So we still see no Latrell, obviously. Campbell Graham is named to play, and he's a little bit less expensive than he was. But remember, we have a lot of these outside backs in the Titans that were doing really well. Kelly was one of them. He's now been dropped. So, Philip Sami comes into that role at centre, and he's been averaging really, really well. Last 5 games, 41 is his lowest, so you get him for 14k. For consistency is great news. So, exactly what you want. We don't see Campbell in this one. He's going to be in the halves hookers. And then, outside backs for Bunnies, it's a mixture of Tass, it's Johnson. Not super excited on all them. Richie Kenner. You do see Aaron Shop come back, but he's at 9.5k. Not really too exciting, to be honest. Hitting a 30 last week. Then you've got Blake Taff in there, and then you've got Keanu Kini. So he's actually got a lot of raps on him. He did play off the bench for 10 points on the 7th of May. So he's an interesting one you can slot in at 9k for sure, and hopefully he can do a good job for you. All right, we've got Cook, Walker, who are the potential options up top. I still think you can avoid those guys and go a little bit lighter. And Tanner Boyd had probably his worst game of the season. Close to worst game in the last sort of 6 weeks anyway for Tanner. Just on the footy field, and he's still got 48. So really, you'd expect an improvement from there. Jaden Campbell's not going to do a lot of kicking. It means he's going to do plenty more tackling in the front line. And he could score somewhere around that 30 odd to 40 unless he gets some attacking stats. But I'd really be leaning up top in that one. Don't pick Randall because Verrills is back as well. You go to the forwards, and guys backing up. I think for Feedy, even if he does back up, you can't select him at 24k. Murray as well. He'll be annoyed that they lost, and I think there's a good, pretty high chance he backs up, but minutes aren't going to be there. Same for Tino. So Fodawake, I think, is going to have to carry that load a little bit. He's the guy you want to look at. David Totola, another guy that you could definitely look at in this one there. And then, Shaq Mitchell at 9k. Got some minutes last week, but it was his first game back at 24.7. So I'd expect with Murray playing less minutes, Shaq will come out and get a few more minutes in his second game on return here from his injury. So that's probably where I'd be at in the forwards as well. There's really not plenty. I think Mo you got to select as just out of the fact that he's going to play such big minutes. Sharks v Broncos in the next one. So outside backs here, how's it going to work? It's going to be a pretty close game, you'd imagine. Will Walshy back up? I think, to be honest, I would be giving him a rest and playing Tristan Saylor. And if Tristan Saylor plays, you have to select him. He was really, really good last week for 37 points at 9k. So just keep an eye on that one. I think he should be coming in for sure. You got Mulatalo, Katoa, Ramian, and also Talakai all doing really, really well. Talakai coming back from an injury, I think you need to avoid him to start with. Herbie Farnworth has been really good, so maybe look at Herbie and Tristan, and maybe a mixture between like a Kennedy and a Ramian, who's coming back with a couple of better scores for sure in that one. Halves hookers, it's the Hines show. I think that he's going to come out and do really well. You saw Reynolds last week absolutely have a blinder as well, 88.8, and he's 6k cheaper. So whichever one you can fit in. You'd obviously want Hines. I think he has more of that 80 upside on a regular basis. That last game there, 81.9, he didn't even play that well and still got 82. So crazy to see how that can work out sometimes. So I'd be looking at him, but either way, he's going to be fine with those two. And then you got Blake Brayley, but again, I'd be looking straight to the top two. Hines only playing the 12 minutes in the centres, strangely enough. He'll be fine to come out and dominate. Payne Haas played 50 minutes in Origin, about what we expected. So, even if he comes here and plays, it'll be about that 50 minutes, I'd say. They might just rest a bunch of them, considering how well, especially their Queensland guys did. Might just rest all of them, which would be a good idea there for sure. So, look at that for those two, and you can work it out from there. With the others, so Teague Wilton, Britton Nakora, all solid. Pretty expensive though, so where do you want to look? That's kind of the question here. You got Jack Williams, our cheap guy down there at 10k, but hasn't really stepped up like you would have hoped, unfortunately. So if a lot of the guys don't back up again, then you'll have some big minutes for Jensen and the like. So I think you need to wait for this one until all the decisions have been made on backups, and then you can make the decision from there. Like I said, Roosters and Dogs. Okay, so outside backs here. Teddy, obviously, the game he had, there was a lot of good things, a few average things. Everyone's absolutely giving it to him about the Lindsay Collins thing, but Collins is a lot lot bigger of a man, and obviously he's they're all athletic, so they can all jump. And he got, they both timed that he got way ahead. So I think Teddy has to back up. Team's going bad. He'll want to revenge his loss for the Blues and try and get a win here for the Roosters. So expect him to come out firing. He could definitely be a solid option. Jacob Kiraz there at 12,950. So he's sitting there in a good position, obviously, to come out and be much better. He had great games to start, then got his knee injury, and then has been poor since in the games that he has played. So Kiraz, look at him as a potential option for sure. If Addo Carr doesn't play, then you've got Blake Wilson. You got 55 in his first game, so his price stays fairly low with that low score that he came off the bench there. Jade Knockenball is the all-in guy. You have to pick him in this one. He's playing in the back row at 10,290. Get him into your side. Everyone else here I'd be avoiding, to be honest with you. In that one, halves hookers, you've got Burton, who I think is very close to the play. It's him and Manu that you have to go for in this one, to be honest with you. Any of those two is going to work out. Kiri, the 52 average over the last few, has been solid. So if you need somewhere around that 45-50 mark, then Kiri will be able to do that. And then you have Turpin. So he comes in at 9K, and he's going to get big minutes in this one. So expect anywhere above that 35 for Terps there. So I think really that halves hookers, there's a lot of options. So one of them should be your flex, and it's gonna be Turpin, obviously, with Brandon Smith out. In the forwards, Preston, the highest man on the list. I think he's obviously a solid one. He went really, really well last week with a 64. You've got Nat Butcher up there as well. I think mixing between any of those two is going to be fine, whichever one you have that amount of cash for. I think they're going to score pretty similar to 50 or so, 50 to 55 for both of them there. So good that you can get Ockenbaugh in the outside backs there. That's amazing. Collins, surely he gets a bit of a rest. I don't see him backing up too much, or at least only for a little bit of time. Whichever guy gets into the starting side, I think is going to be worth it in your squad there. You've got Sitili Tupanua in the 13 role. How many minutes is he going to play? There's a lot of question marks there, but at 10,770, it's going to be very hard to pass him up, that's for sure. And then we're still waiting on TPJ and these kind of guys to back up. So wait and see what happens with those guys before you make these decisions, especially later in the week for sure. But just keep it all in mind there. Cowboys and the Storm there. So with the outside backs for the Cows, Drinkwater's been the guy that has been dominating, and a 52 and a 69 the last 2 weeks. Exactly what you're looking for there. Holmes was in the reserves there. I reckon about half these guys will play. Like Cotter played 80 minutes, so will he come out and play? I'm not sure. So I think we avoid Holmes, even if he does. Nick Meaney, couple of low ones, but then back to a 53. So for Nick, I think it's 13,600 with 50 plus upside. Every sort of second or third week, then he's going to be your guy. Kyle Felt continues to score well and continues to score tries, so he's going to be the next guy on the list in the outside backs, and there's really no one else from there. What about Valemei? Valemei coming in and playing on the wing this week for the Cows. How good? Didn't even see that in the team list originally. Halves hookers, Munster, Grant. How many minutes are they going to play? I think Grant's going to be close to your guy. Robson had a big one last week. Dearden coming back from the Origin experience at 18th man, and he could be a guy to look at. He's 12,720, coming off a low one in his most recent game, but 3 good ones. The low one was against Tigers, and the 3 before that he was much better. So keep him in your mind at 12,7. And then the forwards, I think you have to avoid Cotter, even if he does start. He played 80 minutes, and he obviously did so great. Got the man of the match, but I'd be looking to avoid him. I'd be looking at Eli Katoa in this one at 14,6. Did pick up a little AC joint injury in that last game that he played, but he got that, he's got almost 14 days of rest in between, which is good. And he should be able to come out fit and firing there, which will be good. Hillam Lukey is obviously one of those guys that can come out and put on a couple of performances, 86, 11, and 58. So it's the risk or reward with him. 13-6, if you can get it right, then that's going to be great. And then you're looking at guys like Cohen Hess, 56 last week. He's been over 40 each and every week at under 13K. So if he keeps that spot, great. But there's obviously a little bit of news around the park that Taumalolo is going to be potentially coming back, and then all the potential restings here for the Cows. So just again keep in mind what's going on there. You got Granville, who played massive minutes and absolutely killed it on the weekend. Can he do it again if he keeps that 13 role? If Taumalolo's not there, then you can look at him. But if he is, I think you need to avoid. Panthers come up against the Dragons to round things out, and Cleary's going to want to avenge that loss, I think. So guys in the outside backs I want to be looking at is Sunya Taruva. I think he's been very consistent the last 3 at 11.5. If you can get anywhere above that 40, I think they can put a bit of a cricket score on the Dragons here, considering they haven't been playing too amazingly. They got the win last game, first game for Ryan Carr, but yeah, I'm not too excited from here with them. There's a bunch of their outside backs for the Dragons that could do a job. I'd be selecting all of them before I'd go for Lomax in this one. A lot of the back 7, so 1 through 7, seem to struggle a little bit against the Panthers, so Dylan Edwards is the gun. But if you want to spend up on Cleary, if he does play, then you might have to go cheaper than Dylan Edwards. But yeah, there's obviously plenty of options there. There's some talk about Sonny Luke potentially playing bigger minutes, but it's going to be such a gamble. What happens here? If they do rest a bunch of guys, then Kenny will probably play just through the middle, and then if Sonny Luke starts, then that's when you look at him. But other than that, it's Cleary all the way. And then we've got the forwards. Jack DeBellin's been doing great. I think a mixture of like Sorensen. Sorensen really is a must-have. I don't know why he's so much cheaper than Hosking. The average is a little bit less, but the form of recent time, so much more for Sorensen. He's just been so consistent, getting over 40 every week. The last 2 have been bigger ones, obviously, but still, anything over 40 at 15.7 and at a minimum, which is what he's going to get, is very much worth it. The order's been a little bit low. Fish Harris been a little bit low. I think Fish is the one that you could select, but I'm not super keen. And then Billy Burns gets his spot back in the starting side. He got 33.6 in that time, and could definitely be someone worth it in your squad. You got Francis Molo and Michael Molo both doing okay job there. Over 30 from Michael every week with the 50 last week. And then Francis has been that little bit more of a higher consistency. So any of those two will work out great. So definitely not short of options in that game. So that's Draftstars, guys. If you haven't signed up yet for Draftstars, hit the, go into the description there. There is a link there that just tells Draftstars that you've come over from my video. So big thank you for watching. And, really hope you enjoy all of the games coming in to round 14.